afternoon and welcome to Eurosport's live coverage of the 2018 UK Championship final. For one man, the chance to hold two coveted Triple Crown titles at the same time. For the other, put simply, a chance to rewrite snooker history.
Ronnie O'Sullivan remains on the cusp of UK Snooker Championship history. He's one victory away from a record-breaking 7th UK crown.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight belongs to 17-year-old Ronnie O'Sullivan.
It's another glorious chapter in the life and times of a snooker colossus.
Who is good enough to threaten him? Never mind beat him.
Mark Allen, what a tough competitor he is. What a year he's having. It could get even better on Sunday. The pistol versus the rocket. Stand by for some sharp shooting.
Well, if you can't get into this, then you need a trip to the sporting doctor and ask him to try and find a sporting pulse of any kind. It's a final that requires little hype, little padding and no BS. A proper snooker match. England's Ronnie O'Sullivan versus Northern Ireland's Mark Allen for the 2018 UK Snooker Championship title. Thank you very much for choosing Eurosport to watch the final. We never take that for granted. That means you're part of our family. The hashtag is Eurosport Snooker on social, and we all know who the daddies are, Neil Foles and Jimmy White. Jimmy, just put it as simple as you can for me, of the historical significance of a Ronnie win today, if it happens.
It would be incredible, you know, the modern era to win so many Triple Crown events, you know, in this tournament, second biggest on the calendar. And it would just be an amazing achievement. And the way he's been playing, he's got every chance. More UK titles than anyone if he wins. More Triple Crown titles than anyone if it wins. But, Neil, important not to underplay the modern significance as we sit here in 2018 of Mark Allen holding two of those Triple Crown titles. It marks a shift.
Well, it does. I mean, we've been waiting for a shift for quite a while now, you know, because, you know, the John Higgins, Mark Williams and Ronnie O'Sullivan domination, these guys are into their 40s now, 43 plus, and they're still winning. And we're waiting for someone in their 30s, just something to change. And with Mark Allen winning the Masters, all very well and good, but to put another one to it and hold two at the same time says, hang on a minute, you know, the game is moving in a younger direction and, of course, a more healthy direction with more people winning.
I said right at the top, this is a proper snooker match. Do you agree?
Absolutely. You know, they're both guys at the top of their form. Mark Allen playing for his third tournament this season, playing out of his mind. I don't think he's played that great coming up to the final, and I don't think Ronnie O'Sullivan has played that great of how they've been playing in previous events. Mark Allen in China at 14 centuries was just blowing people away. He still won, and he, you know, a couple of the matches he's won with one visit frames, and I think there's going to be a lot of that today because I think there's going to be so much respect for each other. Can't wait. We get all the build-up. We're going to hear from both men. Let's start at the top of the draw, and Ronnie O'Sullivan broke away from his pre-match preparations to talk once again with Rachel Casey.
Yeah, I'd like to get to the 1,000 as quickly as I can. You know, that'd be fantastic. You know, but like I said, you know, I'll be looking to push on and try and get 1,300, 1,400, and try and make that target a little bit harder for the next guy. You know, so it just feels great. You know, that I'm at this stage of my career and I'm able to set benchmarks really. You know, and
looking to the 7th UK title. You know, you talk about the greats. You know, Steve Davis, Hendry, obviously dominating this tournament in the 90s. You know, you have had so much success. Your 4th final in the last 5 years, and you really will be making this tournament your own.
Yeah. I'm not sure how many times I've won it in the last 5 years, but, you know, it's great getting to finals, but it's like you really want to be winning them now, you know. But, you know, it's a special tournament, and if I could win this, beat Davis's record of 6 UKs, so I'd have the record for the Masters and the record for the UK, which would be fantastic. But, you know, I'll take what I've got now, really. You know, I've had a great career, great CV, you know, but why? I don't want to start getting comfortable and thinking, well, you rest on my laurels. It's about trying to push on and improve as a player as well.
Mark Allen, very, very tight on the head-to-heads between you guys. You just about have the upper hand.
Yeah. I remember he beat me last time, I think, in the Masters.
You weren't feeling that well, were you?
No, I don't like to make excuses, but I was a little bit under the weather, you know, even in my first match, you know. but he played fantastically well that tournament, so he probably would have beaten me even if I would have been playing all right. You know, I think he was just the man of the tournament. But a really great match player. I think he's got as good a temperament as Selby. He's not relaxed, but yet he doesn't let anything get to him. You know, and I believe that one day he will win the world title because he's got a really good all-round game and strong belief. So you know, I'm really looking forward to going head-to-head with Mark again.
He's had 4 world championships.
So a record number of UK titles if victorious, more significantly a record number of Triple Crown titles. It puts him ahead of Hendry. It doesn't kill the GOAT debate. He's still behind 3 players in terms of world titles, but it would go some way to supporting the majority view that he's the best there has ever been. What he did do yesterday was what he had to do in the semi-final. Neil Foles, is it fair to say that's what he's done throughout this whole tournament by his high standards, just what he had to do?
Well, I mean, look, Ken Doherty played really well against him. I've not seen Ken play like that for years, actually, and when it came to it, Ronnie had too much for him. All the other players, you know, I don't want to keep on dwelling on this, but they just turned up and went home quite soon afterwards. It wasn't Ronnie just annihilating them, it was half of them didn't fancy it too much, you know what I mean? And, you know, even when you got to the quarterfinals, he's playing Martin O'Donnell. I think Ronnie's thinking, well, look, he's done well, and maybe Tom Ford or Joe Perry. He had one eye on the final then because he felt that like so many that have gone before, when push comes to shove, they haven't quite got the medal that he's got.
Well, Mark Allen will roll over and have his belly tickled. Jimmy, what has Ronnie O'Sullivan got to do better today against a bona fide top-class, world-class player?
Well, Ronnie O'Sullivan, for me, there's one thing he doesn't do anymore. He doesn't take liberties. He doesn't push the boat out and go for shots and give his opponent chances. He will fight for every ball, Ronnie, but on form, Mark Allen, you know, he's playing really well. And I think for Ronnie, has got to start winning frames in one visit. And I think Mark's A game will come today, and I think Ronnie's A game to go. And I really do think it's going to go right to the wire. It's
a tournament in many ways. It's a microcosm of Ronnie's entire career. A kid the likes of which the game had never seen before when he won in 1993. In 2006, quitting on his stool, that side of Ronnie. And then his longevity in winning it last year. You can sum up his career in these finals.
Look at the look that Hendry gave him there. I mean, he just thought, well, who's this bloke come along? The thing about it was, you know, that stat, this is 93, like you say, all those Triple Crowns, there was like an 8-year period. He only won 3 in between 1993 and 2001. So Ronnie went missing then, and he was a massive underachiever at the game. I think that's why the likes of Jimmy and I think so much of him. We've known what a great player is. He's no longer an underachiever. He's putting up big numbers now, and that's what we thought maybe we'd never see. It's a long time ago, but trust me, in the 90s, you know, he used to flatter to deceive.
Well, what will we see today? Every frame live and uninterrupted here on Eurosport. And while Ronnie O'Sullivan, without a doubt, will have his fandom inside the Barbican today, people from my neck of the woods know how to make one hell of a noise. Mark Allen is not here to make up the numbers. Either are his fans. We'll hear from him next. A quick reminder that the Formula E is coming your way on Eurosport Live Saturday morning and a little bit later at 11 a.m. GMT as well from Saudi Arabia, round 1 of this year's tournament. The 2018 UK Championship final, a battle for the second most important crown in all of snooker. Ronnie O'Sullivan meets Mark Allen in a best-of-19 finale. And while Ronnie's looking to rewrite the record books, Mark Allen can shift the landscape of the current game. A win today, 2 Triple Crown titles in his cabinet at the same time. A message to the rest that there's a new sheriff in town. Here's his thoughts after his semi-final win over Stuart Bingham.
I think it's my experience and my grit and determination that's really got me to where I am this week, because I haven't had my best snooker. Lost a lot of frames that I shouldn't have lost, and played some real careless shots, and tonight was more of the same. I played some very poor safety. Stuart was definitely on top in that regard, and he looked very, very dangerous. He looked the much better player up to the end of frame 7, and just winning that gave me a little bit of incentive to refocus and be positive again going into the last few frames.
You've been in the final before. How different are you with your game, just your whole makeup as a player?
Well, I think I played much better that tournament than I did this week, but a final's a final. I'm going to be over the moon going out there tomorrow. I'm going to be excited. Get the chance to play Ronnie O'Sullivan, who's in my opinion the greatest ever, in a major final, and I've never got the chance to do that before, so I'm going to go out there with real positive thoughts and give it my best shot, and anything less than the title is going to be disappointing.
You've got a good record against Ronnie.
I've done okay against them. I'm still behind on the head-to-heads, but
just about,
not by much. But look, who knows? Sometimes the better players, the very best players, bring the best out of me, and I'll need that tomorrow, because anything but my very best, then I'm going to lose.
You beat him en route to being champion at the Ali Pali. He did say he didn't want to be making excuses, but he was a little bit poorly that day. It was a very, very easy win. But I guess looking to this match in the final, you know, if he is to even improve from what he's been doing this week, you know, he's in massive danger to everyone.
Of course he is, and that's why he's the best player in the world. No, he's not number one because he doesn't play and everything, but there's no doubt in all the players' minds that Ronnie's still the benchmark. But yeah, I just hope he gets that same bug that he got in January, and he's not quite up for this final. But he looks completely different this 2 weeks. He looks so focused. I don't think he's had his best snooker, but look how easy he's come through his half of the draw, and that's how good he is. So it's up to me to go out there, play my best, and put a stop to him.
Well, we always like to show you the head-to-head. It slightly favours Ronnie, as you can see, 4-3. But there's an intriguing statistic here that the first thing that Neil Folt said to me this morning, before he even said hello, was that the 3 wins for Mark Allen are all 3 times they've met in a Triple Crown event. That's hugely significant.
It is, and I think actually that means that Mark Allen's in front on the head-to-heads in a way. I mean, he is 4-3 down. Yeah, that's a fact. Ronnie beat him in the Champion of Champions, which is a big tournament actually as well. I have to say, not a Triple Crown event, but a big one. But look, he beat him at the 2009 World Championship. That was a bit of a surprise. Allen, that event showed what a good player he was, and he's beaten him twice in the Masters. I mean, Ronnie owns the Masters at Wembley.
We talked about Ronnie's draw being blown wide open, and he's had a relatively easy trip into the final. So he's fresh-faced. He smells lovely. Hardly any sweat in that black shirt he always wears. Mark Allen's been in battles, 2 last frames. He's even Steve Maguire having to go out there psychologically and play against one of his best mates. Would you rather arrive fresh, or would you rather arrive unbeaten with a few cuts and a few bruises and battle ready?
Well, yeah. If you know, Mark Allen you feel that he's had more matches, but Ronnie's sort of, as Neil keeps saying, he hasn't been tested, and when he has been tested, the only real match he was tested was against Ken Doherty, and he took control of that game. I just think that both these guys, it's going to be a proper snooker match. Both of them are going to come out, give it their absolute all, and they're both going to play their A game. There ain't going to be no bad snooker today. Every frame will count.
I want to concentrate on a pistol for a bit. Do not underestimate how big this is in Northern Ireland. We love a snooker hero. Him lifting that Masters just reminded everyone what a world-class player he is. And this is huge for him. This is huge for him back home, huge for his whole country.
He's a big match player. As I say, he beat Ronnie at Wembley in the Masters, he beat him at the Ali Pali in the Masters, and he went on to win it as well. So, he's definitely the kind of player that he's not frightened of what is going to be, as you've described it, a big match. It's a tear-up between these two today, isn't it? And that suits him. It suits Ronnie, but he's playing a guy that will not be fazed by that and will not be fazed by Ronnie. So, he's able to win this final for sure. And I can think of a lot of players who don't look capable of beating Ronnie O'Sullivan in the head. That's not going to be a factor here. He's hungry and he can win.
OK, I am sick of talking, and it's not often I've ever said that in my life. After the break, it begins. Never before has the Barbican box office been as busy. Record sales for the UK Championship in 2018, and here on Eurosport, sharply rising figures. Football's Premier League can sleep easy, no doubt, but Britain's love of snooker is strong and growing again, and this is definitely a final that honours that. Ronnie O'Sullivan against Mark Allen. Listen, Jimmy, you've won one of these titles. Both of you know what it's like to lose this final, and you both know what this is like. The walk out, the one table, all eyes on you at the UK Championship. Just sum up what goes through the body, the adrenaline, the emotion, Neil, when you reach such a big stage as you have.
Well, yeah, I'm just watching those two having a chat again. But look, you want to win the final and you get there. There's no point in getting to the final and not winning it. Obviously, the tournament has changed a lot. You know, the year I got to find it was a 2-day match, and Davis over 2 days was like a boa constrictor. He completely strangled me. But before the match, you have great hopes of winning it because it's a historic event. You know, it means a lot, this tournament.
Does it take you back to the snooker hall, almost the feeling you had as a kid when you first played against an adult? Does it humble a player?
Yes, it's a big event. It's now at a big venue, and of course you want to win that. And you do well to get there. The point is, you get to a final like that, and you hope you've got plenty left in the locker. You know, you haven't kind of used everything up to get there.
And to get to the final of the UK Championship, you've got to play some great snooker. Especially the days we got there was 17 frames. Look at O'Sullivan there. Look how focused he is. There was a little bit of chat before, but now he's pacing. You know, this is what I've been impressed with him this tournament, is how much he's been focused. Now, hopefully, he's got to bring his A game.
The divide is 8 frames this afternoon, 11 this evening, just so you know the lay of the land. Thank you so much for choosing Eurosport. I've told you before that hashtag is Eurosport Snooker. Do get involved. Let's get inside the Barbican. Leading the line, as always, is the Michael Buffer of snooker, albeit much taller, much younger, and much less rich. Here's Rob Walker.
Please welcome a player emerging for one of the biggest matches of his life. It has been a superb run to a second UK final, beating 2 former world champions in tense deciders. Reigning Masters champion, he's bidding to become Northern Ireland's first UK champion since Alex Higgins in '83, carrying the hopes of a proud nation. He's Mark the Pistol Allen. And his opponent, a man who has been entertaining snooker crowds around the world for more than a quarter of a century, bidding for a record-breaking 7th UK title 25 years after he first won it as a 17-year-old in Preston. An extraordinary talent, an extraordinary player. Blink and you'll miss him. The Rocket, Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Well, what an atmosphere, what an occasion, and what a final ahead. Tonight, Dave Hendon and Joe Johnson will see us across the finishing line, but calling our first 8 frames, it's Mike Hallett and Philip Studd.
Would you like to call Ronnie, please?
A tournament steeped in more than 40 years of history, and yet more could be written today. If Ronnie O'Sullivan wins the title, it'll be a record-breaking 7th. But standing in his way, by O'Sullivan's own admission, a snooker heavyweight in Mark Allen, a class act who has proved once again this week that he belongs at snooker's top table. It should be a cracker over 19 frames, and that wonderful trophy at stake, the second most important on the ranking calendar. Here we go. The atmosphere is electric, and Ronnie O'Sullivan will get us underway.
Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
Not a seat spare, Mike.
Nope. And if there was, I'd be jumping in it. Great atmosphere, great reception for these two boys. Look at that. Absolutely packed.
One.
Yeah, first blood to the Irishman then. They'd have been unlucky with a cannon on the black. Of course, the first 8 frames this afternoon, both players sort of jockeying for position here, but good red. Good point that Mark Allen made. He said that both players have not played at the best this week to get the final. I agree with that, actually. They played well in patches. I think Mark's had a sort of tougher way through than Ronnie has, really. But I'm sure that these two boys are going to bring the best out of each other today.
Mark Allen, 1.
Yes, and it says something, doesn't it, that O'Sullivan hasn't been at his best, and yet in 5 of his 6 matches he lost a combined 4 frames. Just Ken Doherty threatened him. 4-1 down in that match. Doherty playing out of his skin, but O'Sullivan dug deep and found a way to win. Since then, it's been a procession. But today, surely anything but.
Yeah, might not have done that a few years ago, as the boys in the studio said. It's gone in, no damage done really, but he's a different attitude today though from Ronnie. He plays every ball, he plays every frame. He wants it, and if he's like that, and he turns up, and the proper Ronnie turns up, we know that everybody else has got their work on. But this should be an absolute cracker. Oh, he's just run on far enough. Well played. I was saying this today, once they'd had a recut on Friday, Phil, with the, down to 1 table, that the table yesterday in the first semi-final, Ronnie looked really, really sluggish. But it's picked up over the last day and a bit. Last evening, Stuart and Mark, it was better. Obviously, they'll keep the heaters on overnight. Great pot. But it's definitely faster now.
1.
The tables in the week were absolutely superb. We had the problem with the 1 table down the top cushion, of course. That was done, fixed, and I don't think we'll have the problem again now. It was just drifting away from the top cushion. I'm not sure, but I think this is table 2 that they used. It's like the Crucible 30. When we go to Sheffield, they look at how both tables are played during the championship, and then they pick the best one for the final.
5.
Well, for the semi-finals and final, I should say.
Six.
We've seen a record-breaking 135 centuries during this tournament. 7 of them made by O'Sullivan, 6 by Allen.
And of course, Ronnie getting ever closer to that 1,000 mark. 985. I think he's going to do that in the next couple of months.
14.
He's in Glasgow next week. He's got the Masters, German Masters. So I expect it to go by January, February. Amazing, really. And he said in the interview, of course, before we came into the arena and whatever, he said, well, I want to keep playing and perhaps I can set a target for the rest at 1,300, 1,400 centuries, which would be amazing, really. Well, that's the target. There's the score bar. There's 70 points required to take the opening frame.
22.
Don't think he played to hit that red. There was a red that
29.
went into the corner and he tried to drift by them, but he has this one to the middle. And it's the one of the centre of the pack he was playing for. Ooh. Just squeezed it to get a little bit more angle.
29.
And you see how well, oh sorry, how bad he's hit it. Just look where the white's finished. Yeah, great pot. He was walking after it. He won't be phased by this, Mark Allen, Phil. He'll take it on board. You know, he's going to love this.
Well, their Triple Crown record is very revealing, isn't it? The fact that Allen has won all 3, including a World Championship victory. I recall that match very well. He played outstandingly well, particularly in the deciding session, winning 13-11.
6.
And a heavy defeat for O'Sullivan at the hands of Allen at the start of the year in the Masters on his way to the title.
7.
Where he also beat John Higgins before beating Kyron Wilson in the final. So he's a big occasion player.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid of reputation.
No, and he's hungry. He's hungry. He's up there now. He knows he's got all the game. He's got the temperament. Well, that's kicked a little bit. He's landed on top of the red. That's unlucky. Through no
14.
fault of his own, he's run out of position. Looks like he's still playing it. Well, this is very missable. Well done.
15.
You can take the blue on. Hold for the red on the right hand side. Well, black is the alternative. No.
Mark Allen, 15. One.
Yeah, beautiful.
6.
It's fairly straight on this red, so he'll come back for the blue.
Seven.
Just for a second there, I thought he'd gone too far. Oh, I did 3/4 of the first frame in, and Ronnie's pot success is up to 92%. First frame not over yet.
13.
Well, I'd like to see the stat of his the tournament pot success for Ronnie. It's got to be up there. 94-ish, something like that. Got to be.
$20. $21.
Two more reds required. But the black is overcut. So O'Sullivan has missed a red and a black in this frame.
Well, he didn't even get the cannon on the pink, which I think he intended. So, you know, that might be a little bit of a schoolboy error there, thinking about the cannon and taking his eye off the pot. He was on the red anyway, but I'm sure that he played the cannon on the pink.
1.
So a chance for Mark Allen then, which I'm sure he didn't think he was going to get.
8.
No, has he come far enough? Oh, I think he's just got there. Yeah, I think he's okay. I might have to just play a little bit left on side, but well, perhaps it wasn't available. Hang on.
Foul. Mark Allen 8.
Well, that doesn't really
Ronnie
make any
O'Sullivan,
difference.
4.
Bound to be a few nerves around the first frame of a major final. Doesn't matter how good you are. In fact, you need those nerves to perform at your best. So 26 points, O'Sullivan's lead, but still 43 there.
Pretty good, good pace. Well, both players are wonderful tactical players, we know that. Mark Allen, especially now, he's really improved in that department. Ronnie, we know he's one of the best. The thing is about Ronnie as well, Phil, that he was very much like Alex Higgins. He's got a fantastic snooker brain, and he very rarely plays the wrong shot.
And that's why, as Mark Allen pointed out ahead of this final, he's widely regarded by his peers as still very much the man to beat. Yes, not top of the rankings, he doesn't play in everything, but when he does show up, he is the benchmark. Let's not forget, O'Sullivan has still only lost 2 matches all season. He's won 2 titles. This is only his 3rd ranking event of the season. Made the final and the semi-final in the 2 he played prior to coming here. And he's won 26 of his last 27 matches at the UK Championship. Pretty formidable stats.
You can see some of this red, but has to be careful that it doesn't catch it thin and take it towards the corner pocket. Oh, this looks pretty good. Okay, it's not behind the green, but it's behind the pink. Well, it's behind the green and brown for one, but I was just thinking about the one over the corner. But he has covered it. Tapping the table there from Ronnie. There's huge respect between these two. 2 cushions. Oh, he's pushed it towards the corner. Well, it's not going in, but it might be now. So a chance for Mark then to get right back into this opener, possibly pinch it.
1.
Not sure about the angle on the yellow. I think he's got enough power. Well, he's playing the snooker. If he had the angle on the yellow, he'd be playing down for the red.
Mark Allen 1.
Yeah, just overhit the red slightly. And it's a pity, because I think he might have been still at the table. But he wanted that cue ball tight to the brown there. He's offered up the chance for Ronnie to play off this cushion. Just 25 in it.
Foul. The miss.
Well, the miss has been called, but there's no way he'll take it. That was a misjudgment from Ronnie. I don't think the natural angle was on because the middle pocket was in the way. He was bouncing it into the cushion to create the angle. So a real chance now for Mark to steal this opening frame.
1.
Looked like a few minutes ago that Ronnie was pretty much in command.
Seven. Nine. 12.
Just needs brown, blue and pink.
Yeah, Mark sending a message out here, and I'm here to play.
16.
Long way to go, of course. I think that match last evening, when he came through that one, Stewart 6-5, that's really tightening him up a little bit. You know, obviously a good night's sleep would help, but he's looking good.
Ronnie O'Sullivan was in and looking good to take the first frame, missed the cut back black, and in the end it's Mark Allen who takes his chance to take the opening frame of the UK final. Allen leads 1-0. A picture of concentration. Mark Allen is in the zone and he has the first frame on the board to settle the UK final nerves, taking it on the pink. Ronnie O'Sullivan missing a couple of balls in that first frame.
Thank you,
So
second
Allen
frame.
off the mark first. 7 more frames in this first session.
Not mentioned our referee yet, Marcel Eckhardt from Germany. I think I'm right in saying this is his first major title as regards one of the Triple Crowns. The final, that is. He's done a few finals around Europe. Well, he'll be happy with that. Okay, could have gone either way, but it was a nice finish. It's more like it. Oh, if the pink goes, that's a bit of a bonus. Well, that's really the department that Mark needs to make sure that he's pretty tight with. Any half chance for this guy, I'll make it into a full one. It's having to go behind its own spot there, and I think there's just room. It's not on its spot, it's just behind it. Otherwise it would have gone behind the pack. These are always delicate operations.
Thank you. 7. Eight. 15. 16. 23.
There again, I mean, he's got such a great cue action, the best in the business, and it's sort of a maximum effect from minimum effort.
24.
Yeah, and I mean, it was there already, but he's had to fine-tune it over the years. Sure, Murphy's up there, Phil, isn't he? Mark Williams is up there. I mean, okay, Stephen Lee's not on the tour anymore, but when he was playing, a wonderful cue action he has. Mark Williams strokes the balls around the table.
30.
Stephen Hendry the same when he was at in his pomp, especially on the ultra-fast tables. That was suited his game.
37 centuries already this season for O'Sullivan. He made 74 last season. Only Judd Trump was able to match that tally. His weight of scoring better than ever.
$35.
68 required.
36.
No.
$42.
Like all the modern players today,
43.
looking for that earliest opportunity to get the pack open.
$49. 50. 57.
'Great day to have a ticket.
And if not, still a great day to watch it with us here on Eurosport.
$63.
This red and the blue would suffice.
$64.
Still got a red there to the right corner, I think. Gone the other way, it's fair enough. Well, he lost the opener, which he could have won, probably should have won. But he's struck straight back here. A sign of a champion.
70.
Got in with an excellent long red, managed to get position on the pink in the process. And now a very big break in the offing.
78. $85. 86.
And this is the red he got in with, beautifully struck. And a real bonus. to land on the pink.
Yeah, Mark's got to be careful. You can't be leaving too many of those out today.
93. $94.
Might leave the double on here. Could get him behind the red. Well, normal series resumed then, Bill.
Crowd thoroughly enjoyed that. Century number 986, his 8th of the tournament, 38th of the season. The rocket is up and running in the UK final. Lost the first frame, but made no mistake in the second. A superb 101 break. What a start. It's one each here at the barbecue.
Thank you. Third break. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
Fresh from a century, Ronnie O'Sullivan breaking off in frame 3. What a start. Both players have a foothold now. Early nerves settled. And a feast of snooker awaits.
Oh, that's not too clever. He's covered the left-hand one, but he's left the one on the right. That's not the best break-off shot from Ronnie this week. And he'll be taking this on. Well, I suppose you can say that's one each now, as regards to safety and then the pot red. Now Ronnie made a ton of his. What can Mark make here?
Allen's route to the final has been a little more precarious than O'Sullivan's. It started comfortably enough. 3 victories by 6 frames to 2, but then an absolute epic with Neil Robertson. He was 5-4 down and responded brilliantly with 2 centuries to finish the match. And then had to come from behind last night against Stuart Bingham to win another decider. But one of Allen's great strengths, aside from his break building ability, has always been his bottle under pressure.
Yeah, what a cannon that is. Yeah, his grit and determination is incredible, really. He's done well there to get on the black. Can he make this opportunity into a winning contribution?
14.
Well, as we said, I think these two will just bring each other on here. Punch and counter punch. It's going to be a great day.
15. $22. 23. 30. 31. 38. 39. 46. 47.
Nicely done there. Good control of the cue ball. He's a great cueist, this lad. You know, there's not a lot that can go wrong with the cue action, really. It's just short backwards and forwards. It's not a languid cue action like some. It's sort of a jabby and all that. But, you know, like I said, there's nothing can go wrong with it, really.
53.
7 years ago, of course, he made the final. A great final with Judd Trump. He was 8-3 down at one stage. Pushed Trump to 9-8 before Trump got over the line. His first ever ranking final.
59.
But definitely signs in the last 12 months that he's moved up a level or two with his
60.
game. He's put in a lot of work on the practice table. And he's beginning to deliver on the promise he's always had.
Well,
big events.
Yeah, sorry, Phil. I was about to say, and he was at loggerheads, wasn't he, with Barry and all that. It should be this, that, and just get your head down. There's plenty of money to play for. You know, he made 471,000 on the table last year. And I think after all of that went on, I think there was a bit of growing up to be done, and he did it.
Well, regardless of the result today, he'll be well over £300,000 to the good this season.
Yeah, he's made over $2.5 million.
It is tit for tat at the moment.
Yeah, I think he just realised. Oh, you know, just stop moaning. Just get on with it.
Mark Allen, 74.
Well, barring snookers, it looks like 2-1. And Ronnie O'Sullivan has a look and says, no, that's too many. Great response, this time from Allen. Break of 74, who leads 2-1. A tremendous start to the UK final. Both players scoring heavily. Mark Allen responding to a loose break-off from Ronnie O'Sullivan with a break of 74 after O'Sullivan had made a century to level. So 2-1 already. The frames lasting less than 11 minutes on average. One to come before the interval. And both of them are bang up for it today.
Look at that, 32 minutes. 3 frames. 10:42 the average frame time. Well, there's some great stuff. They're playing some, not hanging about. There's not been too much safety, to be honest, but what there has been very good. Average shot time, 18 seconds for Ronnie, 17 seconds for Mark. That was at about 25, actually, before he made that 74. Didn't hit that very well. Hang on. He's got away with it. He didn't play it like that. Just caught it far too thin. The big question is, of course, will it be 3-1 or 2 apiece at the interval? There's not a lot of room behind that black. He might be able to play it in such a way he could get the snooker here if it's absolutely welded. He's good touch though. No. Yeah. Mark wanted to hit the cushion first and he caught the black first. It was tough to get the snooker. Chance of getting behind the brown.
Mark Allen was very excited at the prospect of facing Ronnie O'Sullivan in a Triple Crown final for the first time. He's beaten him in their previous 3 meetings in Triple Crown events, but this is their first title match, and were he to win today, I think it would be extra special, not just to lift that trophy and hold 2 of the big 3 at the same time, but to have done it at the expense of O'Sullivan, who of course is chasing a record 7th.
Yes, and he said against the best player that he's ever seen. That includes Hendry. But you know, you've got to look at Hendry's titles. But the difference is Stephen was a potting machine, and he would just wipe your way off the table with breaks. Whereas Ronnie's got the all-round game. Stephen wasn't known for his tactical awareness, but he didn't have to play it because he was so good around the pink and the black spot. He just blow you away with breaks.
Hendry's dominance of the 90s was incredibly impressive, but Ronnie O'Sullivan's ability to have stayed at the top of the game for 3 decades and more, arguably even more so.
Yeah, and as Neil Folds alluded to in the studio, that might not have happened 10 years ago when Ronnie was in that period of his life that he didn't want to know, did he? Turned that all around, and now he's setting a real legacy. He could have just, well, we were thinking, will this wonderful talent just go as fast as he can? But he's still here. What is he, 43 now? 42, 43? Still playing at the top of the game.
Celebrated his 43rd birthday this week.
Yeah.
Not sure what happened to that chocolate cake.
Didn't send us any. Talking about birthdays, Phil, I think it's Stephen Hendry's 50th, isn't it, in January? I think so. How time has flown, eh? That young lad at the Crucible Theatre, spiky haircut, beating Willie Thorne in that first round. Amazing. Oh, did he beat Willie? I can't remember that. No, I think Willie beat him, but he was very close to him.
Those devices are switched off, please.
I think it was Willie that beat him, actually. But it was Willie stood there and applauded him off the stage, I know that. And and I think Willie said, wow, we've just seen a new star. Oh, this guy certainly is a star.
What fantastic viewing that was.
1.
I don't think Ronnie O'Sullivan's long game has ever been in finer fettle than it is right now.
He's got it all back together, hasn't he? Because when he took that year out, sabbatical, and came back and won the World Championship, 3 months after that, and he came back to the new season, and his long game was all over the place. He took in the best part of the season to get it back. And it is back. Look at that. I mean, he's not playing in all of the events like some of the boys, Phil, but the events that he's played in, his quality has been outstanding.
6.
I think he's got the angle to shift the red here and stay on the black, if he wants to. No, he's going to just stick with the blue for the time being. Understandable.
7.
There was definitely a period in his life when he wasn't enjoying the game. He's certainly enjoying it again now. Well, I just threw an option up there, but went against that. And again, doesn't matter if he has to keep it down for the blue. It's getting to the winning line.
$13. $18. $19.
Again, so sweetly struck. Not just the pot, but perfect position as well.
Well, he's like the Roger Federer snooker, isn't he? He's so economical, and that's where you get the longevity.
24.
He's already mentioned that he'd like to go on to playing till he's 50.
25.
If he's got the enthusiasm, plays to this standard, why not?
$30.
Well, that's not perfect.
$31. $34. $35.
Well, he's not quite been in prime position over the last 3 or 4 shots. He's getting there, but
$41. $42.
not bad. Played on the blue to the middle, but he's dead straight on it to the corner. Just about. Get down for this red near the black spot. Getting closer to the winning line in this 4th frame. At the moment, it's looking like 2 apiece at the mid-session interval.
47.
Of course, then there'll be 4 more frames to come in this first session. Possible 11 this evening. And the way these 2 boys have been playing, we might need them all.
48.
That's been a struggle this break for O'Sullivan.
It has, isn't it? He hasn't quite had that cue ball under control like the norm.
75 on the table. So a bit of work still to do. Good pot. That surely is the winning shot in frame 4.
Yeah. Didn't back away from it. Got the nice cannon on the other end as well. But look at that. I mean, 2 or 3 inches from the side cushion. Always awkward when you're near the middle pocket. Steve Feeney, sight right coach, and Ronnie's now on board with them.
Yes, and that raised a few eyebrows, not least because O'Sullivan enjoyed his most successful season last time out with a record equaling 5 ranking titles during the 2017-18 campaign, but always looking to add something extra.
Yeah. Well, there's several players on his books, including the world champion, Mark Williams.
Well, Williams has credited Sightright with revolutionising his game, and you can't argue with the results he's enjoyed in the past 12 months.
62.
There didn't seem to be much wrong with the state of O'Sullivan's game, but he's spoken very positively about its impact on his game. The margins of improvement are obviously exceptionally fine at this level.
Well, hence Ronnie's results over the last 6 months.
What an opening red this was, just off straight, so difficult, tight to the cushion, brilliant.
Well, you imagine Steve Feeney was in the arena holding the trophy with Mark Williams at Sheffield. Could he be in the arena here this evening holding the trophy with another one of his clients in Ronnie O'Sullivan? A lot of players, a lot of people are sceptical with it all. But weren't believers, but
83.
The results speak for themselves. I think I was a bit sceptical a couple of years ago when I met Steve at Sheffield, but hey, good luck to him. It seems to be working. Oh. Unlucky.
85.
Doing his level best for another century. What a session at snooker to start our UK final. It is certainly living up to the hype so far. Both players queuing so well. Ronnie O'Sullivan with 2 big breaks, including a century. Allen has played his part, and it all adds up to level pegging at the midway point of session 1. It's 2 each.
Thank you, Philip. Yes, we're no closer to knowing the destination of the UK Championship than we were at 1 p.m. No surprise in that. We have Jimmy White and Neil Foles ready to analyse that, and of course the draw for the Masters after the break. Bingham won in England, Trump won in Northern Ireland. Who's going to take the Scottish Open? The third of our 4 exclusive Home Nation series, believe it or not, starts tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Neil Foles and Jimmy White on the red-eye flight to Bonnie, Scotland for that. I will be in my scratcher. The score then in the UK Championship Final 2018, this is all we care about. It's a Desmond. It's the first to 10 is going to take the title. For Mark Allen, the chance to hold 2 Triple Crown titles at once. For Ronnie O'Sullivan, the chance to have more Triple Crown titles than any player of the modern era and more UK titles. So much on the line. It is just a matchup you do not have to hype. OK, it was an early first frame. We'll get to it in a second. But genuinely, looks like we're going to get the final we want this to be, Jimmy.
Brilliant stuff, you know, some brilliant play from both players, you know, both looked sharp. First game, the hors d'oeuvres were there, you know, it was all a bit nervous and took a bit of time to settle. But now they're in full flight, you know, anything can happen.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at that first frame, because there was something about this I really liked, actually. Just the fact that both of them, no matter their status, were caught up in it a bit.
Yeah, they both missed a lot of balls here. This was an easy one in the middle. O'Sullivan missed there, and it kind of continued along those lines, really. Mark should have got this one. I thought the next one that we're going to see from Ronnie was a real bad miss. The black, he decelerated on this, means he overcut it. You know, he didn't accelerate through the ball. He was a bit pushy at it rather than hitting through it. This, I'm not sure he could actually pot, and he ended up potting the yellow instead of the red. So yeah, it was a horrid sort of start to that match. And this was a strange one. I mean, I think he had to play it off the cushion. I think the middle bag was in the way, and that was it. Interestingly, though, Ronnie's played 7 matches, won most of them very easily, but he's lost 5 times the first frame along those. A lot of them were 6-1 victories as well. So he's hardly ever started well, and the final is no different.
I don't care who you are, unless you're a robot. The atmosphere was unbelievable when they came down the tunnel. Fans shouting during their intros. It's how do you settle? How do you not twitch even a millimetre in your first few shots?
If you're not nervous, I suppose, Jimmy, you know, then really maybe it's not for you out there because you've got to be nervous of whatever you've done at the game. Would you say?
That's part of the buzz, you know. You get that, don't you, when you're doing your stuff, your radio, TV stuff. It's like when we go out there to play in these big arenas. If you don't get that adrenaline pumping, you know, and that thrill of the battle that you're going to do, there's no point in playing.
But we knew they'd settle, and Ronnie settled in the way he's settled for decades with a century.
This was a fantastic pot. A little bit lucky here. It's got like a Steve Davis kiss there to get on the pink. I'm only joking. But but from here on here, this pink here smashes the pink into the reds. All aggressive now, isn't it? He doesn't, not shying away from any shot. Really does fancy potting anything.
It's almost like that first frame being a bit of a scrappy one got him started, in a strange way, because that's been the trend throughout.
Yeah, it's good stuff though.
So we're all even. And you said early in the tournament, the thing that you think Mark Allen is maybe best at in snooker is in and around the black ball. And we interviewed him and mentioned that to him. He agreed, funny enough. And this was a great example. This is one passage of play that sped up to prove your point.
Yeah, I mean, look at the cue ball. It's only about 9 or 10 inches away from every ball. And, if you're good, you play a series of easy shots to make a break. And that makes everyone think the game is easy. But what the difficult bit is getting the cue ball on a sixpence every time. Yeah. And he doesn't move the cue ball. And, of course, when he's like this, not a lot can go wrong, you see, because he's got a cue action that's a little bit jabby of his own. But when it works for him, it's a delight to watch.
Exactly. It's a remarkable skill to see at close quarters like that.
Well, it's quality. That's what the game's all about. The game is about, it's okay potting balls, but if your white's all over the place, eventually you're going to break down. If you've got full control of the cue ball, what Mark Allen is very good at, obviously so is O'Sullivan, most of the top players, if the balls are open, they don't use the cushion, so not a lot can go wrong.
It's interesting. I think the first frame is 18-odd minutes. Frame 2 and 3 were 13 minutes combined, and we were almost out. We were running back into the studio because we knew it wouldn't be long till we're back on air. Frame 4 proved to be exactly that.
Well, this red here, this is just outstanding. You can hear, it's like when you hit a good golf shot, Neil, isn't it? The noise of it.
To win the frame from there is quite something, isn't it? Yeah, and this was great as well.
Yeah, nice cannon there. The balls weren't really there until that shot, Neil, was it? He's picked off about this shot we really like. This is such a missable shot. There's an argument there that he could have potted the blue and played the thin red pot safety, but he's going for his shots.
There's usually quite a bit of psychology in a final, no matter where it is, never mind the UK's, and we'll talk about that in the mid-session. But I'd imagine both players are going to be in their dressing room really happy.
I think so, actually, because the first frame went the way it did, and you think, well, that could be a nightmare, but they're both in that together, aren't they? But 2-2, I think, is fair, and I think, on the balance of play, it seems the fairest result, and one that both players, like you say, will be relatively happy with, I think.
Also, when you're playing against Ronnie and he's making frame winning 1 visits, and you've had that twice in the first 4 frames, when you go in level like that, that's Mark Allen puffing his chest out. He thrives when he can get into that kind of mentality.
Yeah, he's up for it. And what has impressed me with Mark Allen, because he's been playing so well lately, I've been watching a lot of him, and like all the top players, when he does a bad shot or misses one, he completely cancels it out straight away, and he sits there focused. Sometimes if you look at him, he's actually enjoying what Ronnie's doing. There's nothing he can do about it, and Ronnie's got in there on his own merit. But make no mistake, both players now are tuned in. There won't be no more easy balls missed. Maybe right at the very end, but the next 4 or 5 frames for me is going to be top draw.
The next 4 frames, though, if they even go 3-1 either way, I don't think psychologically these two players, the way they are in their mind, will make a huge difference going into tonight.
No, I don't suppose. I mean, obviously, if someone wins all the remaining 4, then they've got a healthy lead. But it feels like a match that's got to go deep. They're both here for a reason, aren't they? They're playing the best snooker of anybody, so it's hard to see one guy running away from the other one. So I think we can enjoy it from here. It's going to savour what's going to be a terrific game from here on in, you know.
Yeah, OK, well, listen, 4 more frames for you this afternoon. They'll all be live right here on Eurosport. Can one of them make a significant blow ahead of tonight's finale? It's all live right here. Thank you so much for choosing Eurosport. It's hashtag Eurosport Snooker if you want to get in touch. Well, I'm not condoning it, but I can't even think how much a ticket would cost in the old internet black market to get into the Barbican for the 2018 UK snooker. I mean, they report record sales at the moment, and even more precious a ticket when you realise it's the pistol against the rocket.
Yes, and to be fair, all week they've been very good crowds, and there's nothing better than for good snooker than seeing a big crowd in there, you know, especially at the one table. So I think all weekend it's been good, and I think as the day goes on, it'll be even better. The atmosphere is absolutely electric.
Yeah, I just don't think you know, there's some players, Jimmy, we would talk about how the one table setup changes everything, how we can't just look at their semi-final result and their final, or sorry, the quarter-final results and before. But with these two, there's just so much of final day that is rendered insignificant by their mentality.
Yeah, you know, they both deserve to be there. They think they're entitled to be there, and they're playing like they're entitled to be there. So, you know, they deserve it on their great play all week.
For you then, just from the two players' point of view, well, it's already been fantastic through the frames, but will be an element that's so comfortable now with their environment, a little bit of living room snooker. I can't see it changing in terms of quality these next 4.
No, and I think that Ronnie has played better. You know, he lost that first frame, played poorly, but he's made 2 frame-winning breaks from long pots after that. You know, so I think he's done well, and I think Ronnie has stepped up to the level we thought he needed to compete with Alan, and he is favourite to win. Let's be honest about it; he has to be favourite, but these next 4 frames will kind of point us a little bit more in the direction of what's going to happen, but it's all about tonight, really, unless someone just wins all 4.
Listen, what they've just done is drawn out the Masters draw, which, of course, we'll be here for. We'll have every shot live on Eurosport. This is your first time seeing it. It's just been drawn out. Mark Allen, the defending champion. First out, we'll do some draw order. Mark Williams against Neil Robertson. Listen, of course there's not going to be dud matches in here. It's the Masters, but that's quite a start, isn't it?
It is a good start, yeah. I mean, as I say, these are the way they were drawn out. I don't think that Mark, the winner of the first place, the winner of the second, I think they go in a seeding place, but that's how they all came out. O'Sullivan, Bingham, of course, they met in the World Championship, and they would look like they were going to meet today, until last night. Selby Maguire, Mark Selby, of course, he needs to win some games in those big events. The one that interests me when we do get to see through the end of this draw is the bottom one, which actually is a bit tasty because Judd Trump and Kyle Wilson have had words lately.
Yes,
yeah, they've got like
Trouble
a rivalry.
in Paradise.
Yeah, they've got a rivalry going on, but then Mark Allen's Luca can't be too pleased with that. I fancy Jack might turn Ding over.
Depends what Ding comes back, right?
And John Higgins is not having a great time at the moment, so Ryan Day must fancy his chances.
It's always a great tournament, you know, the Masters. You get in there, you earn your right to be in it, so it feels like a bit of a pomp and ceremony about that one, you know?
Yeah, but what a different conversation we've just had about 2 players that we wouldn't have had 6 months ago, Selby and Higgins. You know, if we'd been talking about it, if that draw was made 6 months ago, we'd be talking about them as such different players. Both of them need to find something.
Yeah, and they may well do that as well, of course. That's the other thing, you know. Mark Selby's not going to be out of form for long because he wins over in China, but he stopped winning in the UK for some reason. He's probably watching, but it's the fact, isn't it? And as for John Higgins, I don't think he's retiring. I don't think he's joining any splinter group. I think he's going to be winning soon.
It was in the Masters, John Higgins said about 6 years ago that he doesn't think he's a top 16 player, and then he come out, you know, and play some marvellous snooker for a few years. So I think he'll be fine, just have a little break away from it. Christmas with his kids, and then he'll be back for the Masters.
And what does it mean to a player that you follow for so long, Jack Lesowski? Let's face it, he was taught a bit of a lesson in the UK Championship in his exit, but to get in and amongst and have just the wider sporting public see that he is part of that elite.
Yeah, you know, he deserves his place. He's had a great season. Talking about John Higgins gave him such a thrashing in the World Championships. 13-1, I think, Neil, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then he come back, and he's had a great season since. Then he come against O'Sullivan, and he got another lesson to realise that, you know, the game is that difficult because he's such a natural. But hopefully he's learnt from O'Sullivan, and he will go again.
He's the only one in there who's not won anything, actually. I have to remind him that. And, you know, he's in there on merit. But all of the others have won something. And the thing about the Masters, the way the points is now, if you win something, it'll get you up the rankings. But he has been consistent without winning. So he is the odd one out on that regard. But I'm pleased to see that he's made the sort of progression from a 30-odd-something ranked player to a 16 ranked player. That's really good for him.
Do we need to get some bouncers in then for Trump Wilson? Because our presenting position, our studio is like right over that table. I don't want to get caught in any flying bottles.
Words were spoken. Certainly, Judd said a few things about Kyron after something was said about him. That was in Belfast. But look, I think they're both good lads, actually. I like them both. But look, they're just grown up together. A little bit of rivalry. It's not exactly Higgins, is it? And Higgins and Taylor.
One said not one something on some nonsense like that, wasn't it? Yeah,
well, listen,
it spices the matchup.
If that came to fisticuffs, no one would be wanting to pay for pay-per-view for that one, would they? No offence. Lovely
Wrong
boys.
sport, Colin.
Wrong sport.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the stats for the game we should be concentrating on. It's very strange, isn't it, to put the guys on the draw on at the mid-session of the afternoon of the final of the UKs. But there you go, hash break that century for Ronnie O'Sullivan. Pot success 90 and above, long pot success 80 and above. It's early doors. Are both players scoring? The only important ones right at the bottom there, Neil.
I'm just thinking about all the pots missed in frame one. Clearly, since then, nothing's been missed. Look at those quite high pot successes.
Brilliant. 4 more frames this afternoon. Let's get back to Mike Hallett and Philip Studd.
So the second half of the first session. The first certainly didn't disappoint. A few nerves in the opening frame, which is entirely to be expected. Since then, both players have looked deadly when they've been in amongst them. O'Sullivan with a century, and that superbly crafted 85 just before the interval, which was not straightforward by any means. And Mark Allen doing something similar, but a bit unlucky not to land on the black.
Yeah, sorry, Phil. There was just too much angle on that red to sort of properly hold for the black. It was a pity because it was a good pot. I'll tell you what, just going forward though into the new year, some tasty matches in that Masters, isn't there? But we've got the business of this one first.
Well, that's the beauty of the Masters. It is the cream of the crop. This man, of course, will be defending his title, which he won against Kyron Wilson at the start of this year.
Foul.
He'd love to hold the UK title.
Mark Allen
as
won,
well,
Ronnie
but
O'Sullivan 7.
Just fouled the ball with his wrist there as he was stretching. Cue, I should say.
He's taken this to the left middle to get onto the black. Yes, you can get to that one. Probably go through. Well, you'll have to go through for the blue, of course. Well, where the Reds are here, we could be heading for a re-rack. Yeah, it didn't take long. I was going to say there's one over this corner, there's two down the table. They've had enough of that one.
And neither of these players want to get bogged down in a tippy-tappy battle around the Reds, so common sense prevailing there.
Yeah, 10 or 15 years ago it might have happened, but not today.
Well, it is a fantastic atmosphere inside the Barbican today. There's nothing quite like the one table setup. Every pair of eyes on these two players.
Yeah, not just
Ronnie
here.
and Sullivan to break.
On the top level as well. That's packed, and from that camera angle behind the bulk colours there, the bulk area, it looked very intimate, didn't it? Of course, the most intimate theatre is, of course, the Crucible Theatre.
It's another sweetly struck long red, just stroked it in, and this time he is on a colour.
1. Six. Seven. $14. 15.
Might be able to play a little cannon on the right on one. If he's got to be careful, he might not be able to move it enough. I think he'll go in here with pace. Oh, well, I was going to say, make sure of the pot. I think he might have got away with that. Not sure if there's anything on there. Well, I think he's found one in the middle of the pack. Well played. He's got himself on the black, but it might be a little bit straight here.
1.
Excellent red. Does he have the angle to get out for this one? This corner pocket. I think he might just actually. I think he's got some angle here. Yep. He made that look easy, but it wasn't.
8. Nine.
95% is outstanding. O'Sullivan missed a couple in the opening frame that he wouldn't normally, but since then it's been pretty immaculate. And those stats are excellent as well.
16.
5 out of 6 for O'Sullivan from long range, including that quite brilliant red to launch the break of 85. Level at the interval.
Yeah, Mark Allen has dipped a little bit. He was at 88. He was beyond 90. Now he's got band down, so back down to 89%. This is only the 5th frame on the possible 19.
24. Yeah, sure.
Pretty rare for O'Sullivan, generally speaking, to get the cue ball cleaned, although I've noticed that he has it done a bit more often.
Thank you.
In recent weeks.
Yes, something on the white, of course, but also gives the player just a little bit more thinking time as to work out as to what he wants to do. These players are always thinking, what, 3, 4, 5 shots ahead. There's Marcel Eckhart. Well, he's learnt his trade over the last 4 or 5 years, as this man has over the last 20 years. So, but Marcel Eckhart now, and a very accomplished referee.
31. 38.
Just wanted to be a little bit more in the middle of the table. The cue ball, still okay. I think the focus on Ronnie's face over the last 6 months or so has been outstanding, really, and more so this week in the UK. He's come here really wanting to battle through and lift the title for the record 7th time. There's purpose within his game. He looked very relaxed as well. We just came out to play. Phil, we saw Damien Hirst, his good friend, picking the balls out in the practice room for him. I'm sure he's in the audience somewhere.
There's just been a serenity around O'Sullivan
46.
for several seasons now. The realisation that though he can strive for perfection,
47.
he can't always attain it, and that's okay. Before, it used to drive him to distraction, and he didn't play as he felt he should every time he stepped out on the table. He's already well and truly cemented his legacy. He has nothing to prove, except perhaps to himself. But make no mistake, these records, highest number of breaks, potentially a record number of UK titles and Triple Crown events, they mean a lot to him, but he's not happy with that one positionally.
54.
Just when he was closing in on the frame.
Gone too far. Played on this bottom red, just gone too far. Whether he'll surpass Stephen's 7 world titles, not sure. He could equal it in the next 2 or 3 years. But I'll tell you what, I think everything else is going to fall within the next season and a half. Well, I hope he proves me wrong. It makes it 8 world titles. That would be incredible. And I'll tell you what, it'll take somebody very, very special indeed to get anywhere near that.
The break ends then at 54. The lead is 39, and there are still 67 left.
Just a bit pacey. Well, he might be taking this on. The way he's looking at it. Oh. I mean, knowing as well that he's leaving the red to the left middle, but it was just the way that he approached the shot, stood there, and he knocked it in, should be under frame.
What can you say? He's feeling super confident if he's knocking those in against a player of Alan's calibre, knowing, as you say, he could be doing the frame if he misses. Look at the reds, nothing safe. Absolutely brilliant cueing. And now 6 out of 7 from long range.
Nine.
This is frame ball.
Stephen Hendry mentioned something yesterday, Phil, about Ronnie. Ronnie's come through his matches this week, but there's not been one session where he's absolutely flown. You know, 4 or 5 centuries or 4 centuries in succession. Hadn't done that yet. Probably was still waiting, but it could happen. It might happen here. I mean, he might take Mark apart here in the next hour or so.
23.
Well, I think it could be tight, you know. 5-3. He's missed that one of those, has he? Ooh.
24.
Yeah, there's just signs here that his focus is there. He's starting to hit the ball better. And as the norm,
31.
This has been immaculate. I mean, when the first went in, frame over, having already had the lead. And let's be honest, Phil, no disrespect to all the other players, but he's got to just wait for the audience to die down. It's got to be said that this man has got to the final
41.
in second gear, really.
In second gear, and yet having conceded only 9 frames ahead of today's encounter.
44.
And 5 of those were in one match.
48.
As Phil Yates would say, he's still on the launch pad. He hasn't quite left it yet.
53.
He knows the importance of the next 2 or 3 frames. He could do some real damage in this session here to set things up nicely for this evening.
59.
54 initially, And then 66 launched by a brilliant red, which, had he missed it, could have left Allen in for a winning counter-attack. O'Sullivan is turning it on. He leads 3-2. Excellent long, or excellent red from Allen, I should say, from close to the side cushion, having been frozen out in the previous frame. But no position to go with it, so O'Sullivan back at the table. 3-2 up, in front for the first time.
Yeah, solid frame, the last one, wasn't it? 54 followed by the 66. Is this the time that Ronnie's going to make his move? It's good going behind the yellow, a bit hard, I think. Just too hard. But, you know, Mark's got to be careful here, because I think, you know, Ronnie might just go into another gear. He'll be looking for it. Well, it's a tough red to take on, but it's also tougher to get on the blue. You could have done this being slightly straighter, because with the angle, he might go into the pack here. Can he get enough topspin on this to sort of straighten up the cue ball for the blue? That was the problem. It's always going to be the problem. And now he's snookered.
Bramble.
Well done.
Mark Allen won.
There is a red here that Ronnie can cut back into the right corner, though. Take control. Not this time. Oh, we didn't want to do that. Good cue ball. I think he's got the cover. Well, difficult to get safe if he takes the white down the table. He might have to play the red cushion first. It's not right in the pocket. This is just about beyond halfway down the cushion, I think. Playing the safety. Okay.
It's still very early in the final, but this is a very significant frame, because were O'Sullivan to win it, he'd be guaranteed at the very least a share of the spoils going into the final session, but it would also apply the pressure to Mark Allen. 2 down, with 2 to play in this first session. The danger of O'Sullivan potentially building a lead, and perhaps a commanding one.
Well, that's not great. I think Ronnie's played between the brown and the green there. Try and cover this red on the right-hand side, which he hasn't done. It's obviously too straight. Too thin. That's why he's caught the blue. I think he's spotted the blue. Well, that's a loose one there, because it wasn't a difficult shot to get back to bulk. And again, he's left a red on this right-hand side here for Ronnie. If he takes it on, he likes these. Huh. Was it ever in doubt?
One.
That was loose for Mark. I was saying at the beginning of the match, he's got to make sure that his safety is good and spot on. Most of it has been, but there's been the odd occasion like that one where he's been punished.
Six.
Nothing there. I don't think. He was trying to play straight up and down the table, just caught a little bit of the brown. Green and brown, though, a good target to get in behind. Not this time.
Ronnie O'Sullivan. 6.
Yes, you talk about the perfectionist in him. Shake of the head there, Phil, because he knows he's allowed Mark to play possibly a better safety back here. Oh, hang on, he's fluked it. Oh, well, you know, Ronnie in the background is looking, but he knows that his safety wasn't quite good enough. Okay, he's fluked the red. All part of the game. Stuart Bingham last evening he went in off twice. He was so unlucky. And the second one was even worse because he put the red over the middle.
Mark Allen. 1.
Bingham, who will play O'Sullivan in the first round of the Masters in the new year.
Tasty. Twice across here, rest on the red, right to the black.
Foul and a miss. Mark Allen 7.
Well, I think Mark will take this on. He's got the angle to get down for the blue. Got to hit it clean though. And he did.
1.
Well, green might be the ball. As we look at Ronnie in the chair there. Two reds that will go into this left corner pocket, but he's got to punch the cue ball around the table. He's got a slightly better angle on the green. But he could roll up to the green, I think, just lay the snooker. Or stun him behind it.
Green ball.
It's fair enough. I think it's important here, Phil, that Mark tries to get this one on the board because he knows that if Ronnie goes 2 ahead, 2 to go. I know you've already mentioned it, but you know it's so important. Ronnie could finish up winning the last 2, and then he's got a lot to do in the evening. But you know, if he comes out of this 4-4, it's all set up nicely for this evening. So must try and level here. He's missed that one as well.
Foul and a miss. Mark Allen 4. Yeah, okay.
Better angle.
Won't be through with that one, catching the middle pocket jaw.
Well, the first frame took a little while to unfold. This one's gone a little bit scrappy. Worst frame of the match so far. Well, again, I said you must keep the safety tight. You can't start dropping those in. You'll be in all sorts of trouble.
Yes, it's almost as though both players are very aware of the importance of this frame, the difference between parity again and a two-frame cushion for the first time. Another chance for O'Sullivan to get in, but he's on the stretch. Nicely played.
One.
Could have done with a little bit more angle. He might have to go around the table here. Yeah, to get anywhere he needs to be on that right-hand side, you've really got to get a lot of action into the white here. I was hoping to be straighter on this black. Well, if there's one man who can do it, he can.
Pretty rare to see O'Sullivan deliberating for this amount of time. His average shot time in this match, as usual, brisk at 20 seconds. Alan just a second longer.
He's all the way around the table here, like 4 or 5 cushions. Tell you what a shot this is if it keeps going. Keep going. Well, I tell you what, to get there, he really would have had to hit that really hard. He's done well to get there. Just a safety then. If he doesn't catch the yellow, it should be him behind it on the way back.
Ronnie O'Sullivan next.
Not quite.
Brilliant.
1.
Yeah, had the room to miss the pink, I should say. Great pot. Still behind a little bit though on those stats. You won't care if you can win the frame from here.
3. Four.
I think he's okay. And again, just for a second there, I thought he'd gone too high, but he'll be looking to kill off the frame here. And he won't need the awkward red on the side cushion. Would have done enough damage by them. Good to stun through the gap here. Play the red that's nearest to us of those two. Well, he's played on the left on reds, but this one will do nicely.
28.
Totally different format. This, of course, in the final, best of 19 is against the best of 11s we've had all week. This is obviously this is where the boys want to play the longer matches, like the Crucible, where they can pick out stages of sessions where they can do some damage. I still think that this UK Championship, I still think that the semi-finals merit the best of 13.
Well, not clean. Very nearly stayed out. But unfortunately for Mark Allen, it dropped.
44.
Well, this pink is frame ball. Well, you just had the feeling that this was inevitable, really, once that red went in. The first red cracking pot. And the rest has been class all the way, as usual from Ronnie. He's going to lead 4-2. So the last two frames of the session are going to be really important for the Irishman. Still got the chance to play the double here.
57.
A significant moment in the opening session of the UK final. Not for the first time. Ronnie O'Sullivan doing big damage off a brilliant opening red as he opens a 2-frame gap now at 4-2. Ronnie O'Sullivan is threatening to make a move in the early stages of the UK final. He's now won 3 frames in a row. Mark Allen scoring just 30 points in those 3 frames, and O'Sullivan now guaranteed at least parity going into the final session this evening. But of course, having moved 2 clear for the first time, he now wants to establish a lead, and it could yet be a commanding one. Mark Allen needs a response now. A couple of loose shots from him since the interval. Mr. Blackoffit's spot going into the bunch of reds in the previous frame. The one just gone, and a couple of loose safeties as well. So O'Sullivan on top right now at 4-2 up as he breaks off in frame 7. It was never going to be slow.
I think in the beginning of the match, about second frame, I think Ronnie was at 17. Mark was at 20. It can fluctuate, of course, depending on the state of play and the breaks and whatever. We know that Ronnie can rattle in centuries within 5 minutes or so. The infamous 5 minutes 20 at the Crucible 30 for the maximum. Unbelievable. That's another record which I don't think will get beaten. By the time he's finished at the end of this game, I think he'll have every record apart from possibly, well, this guy's got a few titles left in as well, but talking about Ronnie, I think Ronnie will just about have every record it's set, possibly surpassing Stephen Hendry's 7 world titles. We shall see in the next 2 or 3 seasons. If he keeps playing like this, who knows what's going to happen. Oh, played it with a little bit of check side just to swerve it around the yellow. Look at that, right hand side, look. Just to kick it in. And he found the angle to get back for the blue. Brilliant. As was the red in the last frame to get in. Just see it in him, Ronnie, in his face and his eyes and everything like that. You know, he's more focused now. He's thinking like, okay, this is the time to do the damage.
6.7. Well, $13.
There's a lot of working out to be done here. It's clever. Held the blue spot. Blue onto the pink spot, which I think will go. That's the reason why he's done it.
18.
No problem. Well, there's plenty of reds in the open, but they're sort of covering each other, really. He's got to work these. And he's the best in the business at doing this.
$19. $24. $25.
Just lost the cue ball a little bit there. It's not too bad. I mean, that wasn't a bad safety. If it runs another inch with the cue ball, it's perfect. But, of course, Ronnie was able to see the red down the left-hand side. Now, that's gone slightly wrong, which can always happen when you're sort of playing cannons into loose reds at the back. 4 ball on that first one would have been perfect. I think he's having a go at this red to the middle. Yes.
31.
Now the big question is, will he have a go at the blue? Or play safe? He's winding himself up with this blue.
What can you say? Just such pure ball striking. 9 out of 11 now from long range. And most of those have been quite superb.
Yeah, he needs another one here. Pop this, screw back off the others. He might split the black and get back onto the blue. Incredible. Not bad. Well, I mean, 2 shots there. The blue and now that red. Incredible.
Sending a message to Mark Allen, isn't it? That he's full of confidence. Once again, had he missed the blue, he was giving Allen the chance to get back into the frame.
Well, that's what he was going to do. There's no way he's going to take that red to the middle, is he? If he's not going to take the blue one. That's what he was thinking. I know it might be a little bit early to say, Phil, but 5-2, 6-2. Is he beginning to smell blood?
43.
Well, getting to 4 was significant because it just allowed O'Sullivan to relax for the remainder of this session, knowing that he couldn't be worse than 4 each, but he could be a whole lot better.
Tell you what, this is not been the most immaculate break in the world, but some of the pots he's made here to continue has been unbelievable. Well, anyway, but
49.
That could be end of break. I'll be very surprised if he takes on this straightish red. He's been going to be clattering into them. He's got a 49-point lead. There's no way he'll take anything on here. A superb 49, though.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 14 now.
Mark Allen comes back to the table, surely feeling pretty cold, because it's been all O'Sullivan really since 2-1 down.
Yes, Ronnie's squeezing him here a little bit. Just gone up to 23 minutes since Mark potted the ball. Well, he feels that that's checked off the first cushion.
Foul and a miss. Mark Allen, 4.
You could see the fury in O'Sullivan's face there that he failed to get out of the snooker first time around.
Yeah, cheers.
Both happy.
Foul and a miss. Mark Allen, 7.
Well, he's trying to get on this red on the top cushion, but I think that second cushion is just squaring up a little bit. If it had sort of slid naturally, I think he would have landed on this one there, the cushion. But that's obviously not on. So Ronnie might find another route. Now, you can see a red here, I think. You can see the red. Yeah, he's got the warning because you can see the red near the black. He's got to hit a red this time because he can see that red full on near the black. What's going to happen here?
.38 is lead. This frame, the difference between just a 1 frame gap and a commanding 3. And O'Sullivan in a bit of bother now, having to hit a red.
Well, that's all he could do, really. Yes, he has left a red into this right corner, but it's not easy. Depends whether Mark can get onto the pink to the middle. Oh, this is no gimme at this stage, especially that he's having to do something with the cue ball. Great pot.
1.
He's on the pink and he's cleared the red. He made that look easy. It wasn't. 4-2 behind. Ronnie breathing down your neck.
This would be a big steal. But the pink stays out.
Mark Allen, 1.
It wasn't bang in the middle, Phil, was it? And at that pace, they don't take them. What's this? It's not absolutely bang centre. No, those don't go in. Not near the far jaw. But what it does mean, of course, they're all there for Ronnie. And it could be 5-2 with one more frame to be played. So the last one for that man is massive.
Eight. No.
Frame ball. And stun behind the black here.
17.
Well, Ronnie could take a stranglehold on this match. A small one. Going into this evening. There's no doubt he's played the better snooker over the last hour.
24.
Just one or too many mistakes from Mark Allen. Will he come back?
61 the difference, 51 there. 3 snookers needed.
Frame gets seated. Frame Ronnie
Mark Allen says no, I've had enough. That's 4 frames on the bounce now from Ronnie O'Sullivan. 85, 54, 66, 57, 49. He leads 5-2. Mark Allen steeling himself for what is a huge frame for him. The last frame of the first session of the UK final. He desperately needs it since he led 2-1 with that break of 74, his only sizable break of the match so far. Ronnie O'Sullivan has outscored him 354 points to just 42. He had half a chance there to get back into the frame, potted a good pressure red to get in, but then in trying to power in the pink for position, he missed it to right centre. O'Sullivan did the rest. And Allen now
the final frame of the session.
in serious trouble.
Mark Allen to break.
If he can win this frame, he's very much back in the picture going into the concluding session this evening. If he loses it, he's got an awful lot to do. %88 isn't good enough against O'Sullivan in a Triple Crown final. 95 is excellent.
Yeah, Mark was up to 91 at one stage. He sort of started that around that mark, 88, and a couple of frames in, but it's got to go up massively. Side cushion, top cushion with check side, or is it a thin safety? Yeah, well played. It's between the yellow and the brown as well. I mean, just look at that. And I tell you what, he's got all this talent, Phil. The most talented, gifted player we've ever seen, but he works as well. He works so hard at his game, as hard as anybody else.
1.
But so does this guy.
Mark Allen's long game has been outstanding, just as O'Sullivan's has today, and that was another one, and this time on the black.
Well, apart from the scoreline, significant. I look at this again on one of the stats, I should say, is the table time. 69% for Ronnie, 31% for Mark. That's a bonus. The maximum's gone though. But the Irishman here has to make this count. 6-2 tonight. That's a tall order. 5-3. It might still happen for him. Just one good effort here to steal himself for like 5 or 7 minutes or so.
17.
Okay, the other red went in. Yeah, if the maximum presents itself, fair enough. But at this moment in time, his priority is to get this frame on the board. Hang on, hang on, hang on.
Mark Allen, 17.
Well, that's the last thing he needed.
I just wonder there, Phil, if he thinks
Thank
that's
you,
drifted a bit. There, that's in. But as soon as he gets to the pocket,
Thank you, quiet please.
I think that's got enough to stay there. Oh, he's looking for the replay, I think. I think that's just gone a little bit over a finger mark or something. Just that fraction to let it stay there.
Whatever the cause of the miss, it's a great early chance spurned. What can O'Sullivan do with this?
One. Eight.
Well, goodness me.
Ronnie O'Sullivan 8.
It looked in initially.
Well, if anybody at home says to me, I get back and says again, these pockets look big. Just have a look at that one.
Huge relief for Allen. A reprieve he wouldn't have been expecting there.
One.
Well, he's been unlucky again. He was hoping to be on the one to the left middle, but there's nothing there. I mean, he struck those beautifully. Another day, he would have been on one. Just look at the spin here. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the contact, but unfortunately the cue ball is stuck on that red. Might have to play away here towards the yellow pocket, but there could be a red waiting for Ronnie. He has to be careful here. He's got to make sure this is a good one. He's not contemplating the plant to the middle, is he? I wouldn't have thought so, Phil. I'm just throwing that one in at you.
From the neutral's perspective, I think it would be a good thing if Allen were to win this frame and make a real match of it tonight.
Yeah.
6-2. We know what sort of front runner Ronnie O'Sullivan is. That's an awfully big gap to bridge. 5-3. It's still very much up for grabs. And there is the scene. Everyone glued to the action. I'm very conscious of the significance of this final frame of the session.
Yeah, let's not forget there's another balcony upstairs, I'd say, with about another 400 or 500 people. That's packed as well. And the reception these two boys got when they came out to start this match was unbelievable. It will be the same this evening. Can't play that, surely. I think he's playing the safety. I feel the red. Wise.
Macallan 8.
He has left a red on, though. There's one there to the left corner, and Ronnie can avoid the black and the red on the right-hand side. This is about a quarter ball cut. He'll be taking this on. There's been a lot of those have gone in today, but Not on this occasion. Needs this frame. That goes without saying. Wow. Stop it. Played it with some check sides. He'd get off that side cushion. I mean, just look at that. He's floated it in the left-hand side. Only just got past the blue.
Just too good. And more often than not this afternoon, when he's got in with a red like that, he's gone on to win the frame.
Yeah, he's played that with side. He could have easily pushed the cue ball into the blue there.
Not the second half of session one that Mark Allen envisaged. Went toe-to-toe with O'Sullivan in the first four, led 2-1. Since then, the defending champion has held sway.
9.
Well, you've got to give him the credit. Whatever happens off the table, on the table, he's the man.
$20. $21.
Less than a quarter of an hour a frame. The longest, a shade over 22 minutes. It was a very important one as well. O'Sullivan able to establish a 2-frame cushion for the first time. And that gave him the leeway to really do some damage.
$27.
But he's cued beautifully. His long game has been almost immaculate.
Yeah, this he's not there yet in this one, but you know, still a bit to do. But I mean, the red that he's floated in, the first red to go on the black, was outstanding.
33.
He couldn't have hit it any better.
$34. $41.
He's going to need one of those 2 reds there on the top cushion to make it 6-2.
$42.
Got a little bit of angle here to run around of 2 cushions. Well, he's done the maths. Yeah, he's just, I'm not sure if that red will pop clean. He might have to find an angle on the black here just to run into them. Ideally, he'd like to be on the left-hand side of the black. Well, he's looking to run into them, I think, here. Just push this towards the corner pocket. And if he gets this right, it's 6-2. Oh, that's a perfect angle. chose to stun it. This is all he needs. There's no doubt that Ronnie's been the better player in the second part of this first session. Frame ball.
No heroics on frame ball red. 41 the lead, only 35 left. 2 snookers for Mark Allen, assuming he gets the chance to play for them. And that surely settles the argument in frame 8. Well, Ronnie O'Sullivan has monopolised the table ever since he fell 2-1 behind. His long game has been outstanding, and he scored heavily.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 65.
A 5-frame blitz from the defending champion, who is just 4 frames away from rewriting the UK Snooker Championship history books. Ronnie O'Sullivan has produced a sublime second half of session 1. He leads Mark Allen by 6 frames to 2. With 10 the target for the title, Allen has got a lot to do.
Well, Neil Folds, that's what Ronnie O'Sullivan's been doing for as long as some of our younger viewers have been watching snooker.
Yeah, I think the thing about these longer matches is, you know, you 2-2 at the mid-session interval, there's 4 frames to play. You can often see players just exchange frames and be a bit flat, but O'Sullivan, you know, he's won 18, Triple Crown events, and he's won everything, so he knows that there are points when you can, you know, sense weakness in your opponent and push away, and he was pretty clinical in those 4 frames, I think. Mark Allen with a laugh there as he was leaving the arena. It'd be a lot different, I think, when that dressing room door's closed when he gets in, Jimmy.
Yeah, he's had a couple of chances, but nothing great, you know. There's a couple of balls we're going to show you, but Ronnie O'Sullivan, he's long potting and you know, fancying these long shots are like, you know, it's dangerous for all these other players because not only is O'Sullivan great when he's in the balls and his safety's good, now he's starting to pop balls like Stephen Hendry used to go for all the time.
How important is that first minute, 2 minutes on the table when you come out from a mid-session in terms of setting a pattern or an agenda or a trend, just to get your feet under the table quickly?
Well, put it this way, the great players start quickly in matches, sessions, mini-sessions a lot. If you're playing someone over 2 days and every time you come out after 4 frames, they come out roaring, you know, it's a hard match for you to win, you know, and to be honest, you know, Ronnie, with his experience, knows what is required. He started the match slowly, but he wasn't slow in frame 5 to 8. He played well there.
Let's get straight into it, because this will be a little bit of a pattern. Well, this is unforgivable, this.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that can, you know, make your opponent, give your opponent a buzz without having done anything themselves, you know. Ronnie's sitting in his chair. This shot, I couldn't see a way of getting on the ball, but I tell you what, didn't he play it well? He got on the black somehow, and that was a shot that he didn't know about. This is just one of many long-range shots that Jimmy was speaking about. You know, hit it to perfection. I love that camera view because it really gives you a perspective of the table, you know, you don't usually see on TV.
There's a nonchalance, Neil, to some of those pots, isn't there, that you only really get from Ronnie. Well, like he's just playing them in his living room.
He is, you know, I mean, he really is. The balls he's potting, and all the years I've seen, you know, Ronnie play, I've not thought about him potting single long balls like he's doing at the moment. It's a different aspect to his game, I think.
Right, let's have a look at this. A half century in frame number 6. The turmoil continues for Allen. You both love this shot.
Well, look at this shot. You know, this is, you know, there's arguments for him not going for these shots, but because he's starting to fancy these shots, he's going for when he's younger. This gets a bit of a kick, but he ends up perfect on the red here. If you can see, he thinks he's missed it, Ron, like it pulls sort of an expression, but he ends up perfect on the red.
Yeah, and that was frame ball, that one.
Yeah.
When your opponent's taking out amazing long reds and he's hitting every one of them, how much pressure does that put on the safety player of the opponent, knowing that he can't actually now be 3-4 millimetres out?
The answer is a lot of pressure, and you're frightened to play anything really, because you know that unless you can put your opponent, you know, sort of nail him to the bolt cushion, then he might score.
And frame 7 is a case in point, isn't it? You kind of think where you are, but a little bit of swerve on it, and Robert's your mother's brother.
Well, yeah, this was good, and we saw a couple of other shots in this frame. I know when we see the shot, 2 shots down the line from this, because he plays that with a touch of right-hand side. Yeah. I thought this was a nice shot to hold the spot. He preferred the blue on the pink spot for the time being, but look at this chip.
This is just, you know, these, like, Listen, his white's down low by the pink there. That was Mark Allen, missed pink. I do think he hit a bit hard. It was a very important shot, you know, and that was the difference between 6-2 and 5-3. That was a massive.
Is that because of a coldness? Is that because of an over-eagerness?
I thought he was a bit unlucky. I thought there. I mean, it was one chance he had. It was a horrible shot because the natural angle on the pink is to go away from the red, so he had to force it. And I think on another day that might have just gone in, but it didn't. And he was backwards to the wall and some, you know.
Yeah, frame 8 was a little bit like frame 5 revisited. Although, Neil,
well, here
we're
not too sure. We think this might have rolled off. That's in there, and then all of a sudden, you know, Mike Hallett said in commentary he might have hit a finger mark. I don't think so. I think it's like rolled off because.
Thank you. Quiet, please.
You know, that's gone like half an inch off. This one, Ronnie misses here, just trying to make sure of it. You know, but he's okay with it. You know, he's missed it. What can he do? But this,
beautiful
shots that he's getting now. Like if these are going in all season, you know, who's going to stop him? They're just unbelievable pots.
There's like a wonderful purity in his ball striking. That sounds a little bit too snooker for words, but there is the way he, you know, like I'm telling you, any snooker player who's decent, who's watching, will know what I mean. It's just the striking through the middle of the balls. It sounds easy, but he's doing it with such ease.
That's the hardest part of the game, is to pot the long balls. You know, if you could get your percentage of that up there, we know he can score.
For those people that are just tuning in for the final and don't watch snooker outside of the Triple Crowns, which is fine, lovely to have you, we should remind everyone Ronnie's lost 2 matches this season.
Yeah. He has. And one of those was Mark Davis, and he played very poorly in that match, Ronnie. He lost 6-1 in the semi-finals of the English, and in the final to Judd Trump he lost. He won both invitationals, and they were worth £300,000 in all. He won the Shanghai 200 Grand, the Champion of Champions, where he, in the final, only just beat Curran Wilson. So, I mean, we're almost at the end of the year now, and he's only lost twice. It's quite frightening, that.
But he's won those 4 frames, and he's won them without a century in there. 3 or 4 half centuries, 4 I think it was, 2 in 1 frame. And Ronnie is not going to go the rest of this final without banging in a ton somewhere. And that's what makes him just so, as a front runner, I don't know who you compare him with.
No, he smells weaknesses when people are starting to miss, and there's not a lot Mark Allen can do about that. You know, Ronnie's potted so many fantastic balls. You know, you're going to be a bit punchy, you're going to not sort of know what to do, but Mark Allen has to win the first 2 tonight, otherwise it's an early bath.
It's funny though, no matter how horrendous a run you're having out there in the table, 1 frame changes everything. Allen had a red left over the pocket for him, a dolly. If he wins the frame from there, which he's done so many times this week, when you let him in like that, he puts his foot on your throat. We're looking at a 5-3 and an entirely different picture.
So.
Just that one little moment can change that from horrendous to not so bad.
Yeah,
so it didn't happen.
And as Jimmy says, you know, he's a great front runner. I can think of the 2 other great players I can remember, Steve Davis and Stephen Hendry, had this way of being great front runners. I can tell you, even playing Jimmy, who was a better player than me, but when we used to play, you felt that he would get in front of you and he didn't quite have the same, you know, he used to ease up a bit, Jim. You know, do you know what I mean?
I wanted you to get close to me.
I know.
Mate.
No, but I think there was something in that. I think he was looking for a bit of a battle.
Sometimes you enjoy it out there so much, you know, you don't like, but you're right. People like Stephen Hendry and Steve Davis, they had the killer instincts, which all great winners have.
Can Allen do this? Simple question. What should he do between now and the 9th frame?
I think the one good thing that you can say is he didn't play 9 frames this afternoon, only 8, because I think he'd have been further behind. Yes, he can still win, but he's got to have a good night. He's got to come out all guns blazing, which he can do. He's passionate, but he's going to have to show all that to get anywhere near. He's in trouble tonight.
Can't see it, Jimmy.
No, sorry. You know, he's had a great tournament, but to be 4 behind with Ronnie with the balls he's potting, I don't think anyone can beat him.
We're huge odds on at the moment to see a player win more Triple Crown titles tonight than any other player in modern history.
Amazing.
So this is sport. We're not always guaranteed a close finish. That's why we love it. The script isn't pre-written, so that is something. Even if he goes and wins this 10-3, 10-4, we get to witness that live on Eurosport this evening.
Yeah, you know, history's going to be made.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, when are we back? Let's tell you now. We've got quite a break now. I don't know what we're going to do with ourselves. Just stay out of the pub is the main thing. Ronnie O'Sullivan 6-2 up against Mark Allen. We're back at 6:45 on Eurosport 1. Ronnie O'Sullivan is over halfway to 7th heaven. Mark Allen's going to need one hell of a comeback if he's going to bring the rocket back down to earth. Good afternoon.
mission. I'm a man on a mission. I don't need no permission. I'm a man on a mission. I ain't waiting and wishing. Oh, I got that ambition.